Have you ever wondered why so many people set goals, make promises to themselves, dream of a better life, and still fail? It's not because they're broken. It's because they're playing the wrong game with the wrong mindset. People fail because they confuse desire with commitment. Everyone wants to succeed. More love, more freedom, more fulfillment. But wanting is not enough. Desire without commitment is just a wish. The difference between people who succeed and people who fail is that one group turns their desires into non-negotiable standards. They also fail because they let fear run the show. Fear of rejection. Fear of looking stupid, and the irony is this: by trying to avoid failure, they guarantee it. Fear becomes a prison, and they never realize that courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the decision to act in spite of it. Another reason people fail is because they focus on the short term instead of the long game. They want instant gratification. They expect results in days, not years. They quit when it gets hard because they don't understand that true success is built in the grind and the repetition, in the daily disciplines that no one sees. The ones who win are the ones willing to do what's boring, what's difficult. Day after day after day, people also fail because they surround themselves with the wrong environment. You can't plant a seed in toxic soil and expect it to grow. If your circle doesn't challenge you, inspire you, or push you higher, you'll shrink to fit their level. Success requires raising your standards and raising your associations. And let's be real, many fail because they never decide. They live in someday. Someday I'll start, someday I'll try, someday I'll change. But someday is not a day on the calendar. Indecision is the silent killer of dreams. The winners aren't always the smartest, the strongest, or the most talented. They're the ones who decided and refused to turn back. So why do they still fail? Because they underestimate the cost of half-hearted living. They don't realize that the pain of them weighs ounces, but the pain of regret weighs tons. Success is simple, but it isn't easy. It requires clarity, courage, consistency, and the right environment. Failure isn't final unless you quit. If you learn from it, if you rise from it, if you refuse to let it define you, then failure becomes your teacher, not your identity. The only real failure is giving up when things get hard. So the question isn't why do they fail? The real question is, will you let fear, excuses, and hesitation define you? Or will you rise, commit, and decide that this time you will not fail? Everyone wants success. Everyone dreams of a better life, more freedom, more wealth, deeper love, and more fulfillment. But wanting isn't enough. Desire is easy. Commitment is rare. That's why so many people still fail. Not because they lack potential, not because they don't have intelligence or opportunity, but because they confuse desire with commitment. I want, and I hope, but never step into I must and I will. Desire is like a spark. It can light something, but without fuel, it dies out. Commitment is the fuel. Commitment is the difference between someone who wishes and someone. Think about it. Everyone wants to be healthy, but how many are committed to showing up at the gym day after day, no matter what? Everyone wants financial freedom, but how many are committed to learning, investing, saving, or working relentlessly when distractions are everywhere? Everyone wants love, but how many are committed to becoming the partner who creates that love consistently? People fail because they settle for desire. They let themselves off the hook. They say, I want this. But the moment it gets difficult, they retreat. Desire makes you talk about what you want. Commitment makes you do whatever it takes to get there. When someone says, I'll try, they've already set themselves up for failure. Try is weak, is desire dressed up as effort. But commitment says, I'll make it happen. I'll burn the boats. I'll remove every excuse. I'll stop negotiating with myself. Until you reach that level of resolve, failure will follow you. The reason many never change their lives isn't because they can't. It's because they never decide they must. Success starts when a desire transforms into a standard. Standards are non-negotiable. A standard is when you don't allow yourself to operate below a certain level. When you raise your standards and commit to living by them, failure becomes temporary, not permanent. Look at the people who achieve extraordinary results. They weren't necessarily smarter, luckier, or more talented. They were committed. They stayed in the game long after others quit. They pushed through setbacks, rejection, criticism, and doubt. Commitment is what makes you get up when desire tells you to sleep in. Commitment is what keeps you going when motivation disappears. People who succeed build habits around commitment so strong that even when emotions fluctuate, their standards stay the same. Desire is a feeling. Commitment is a decision. Feelings come and go, but decisions shape destiny. If you only chase success when you feel like it, you will always fall short. The truth is, feelings are temporary. Excuses are easy. Discipline and commitment are rare, and that's why they're valuable. If you want to know why people still fail, look at how many people want success and how few are truly committed to paying the price. The price is sacrifice, discomfort, effort, and consistency. But it's always worth it. Fear is one of the greatest forces holding people back. It hides behind excuses, it disguises itself as logic, and it convinces people to shrink when life is demanding they grow. People fail not because they don't have the ability, but because they let fear run their decisions. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of looking foolish, fear of losing what they already have. It chains people to life they already know, even if that life is far smaller than the one they were meant for. They don't see that by protecting themselves from failure. They guarantee it that by avoiding discomfort, they ensure suffering. Fear is the prison, and most people are the guards of their own jail cells. Think about it. How many dreams have been buried because someone was too afraid to take the first step? How many relationships never began because someone was too afraid of rejection? How many businesses never started because someone feared what people might say if they failed? Fear is not real in the sense people believe it is. It's a pattern in the mind, a story about what might happen, not what will happen. But because the mind can't tell the difference between imagination and reality, fear feels real. And when people allow those feelings to govern their choices, they never break free. The people who succeed don't live without fear. They simply stop letting it control them. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's action in spite of fear. When you feel the fear and step forward anyway, you take back power. Every breakthrough in life requires walking through fear. Fear doesn't disappear when you wait. It doesn't dissolve when you avoid it. In fact, avoidance feeds it. The only way to shrink fear is to face it. That's why so many fail. They wait until they feel ready, but readiness never comes. They wait until they're no longer afraid, but fear never leaves. The winners act while fear whispers in their ear.
And eventually the voice of fear becomes smaller than their commitment. Failure itself isn't the problem. Everyone fails, everyone stumbles, everyone makes mistakes. Failure is feedback. But when you let the fear of failure stop you from even trying, you guarantee a life of regret. Fear and regret go hand in hand. One keeps you from starting,
and the other punishes you for stopping. And the truth is, regret hurts far more than failure ever will. Failure stings for a moment, but regret lasts a lifetime. Fear convinces people to cling to comfort zones, but comfort zones are silent killers. Nothing grows there. Think people are afraid of discomfort is the exact path to their breakthrough. Growth is uncomfortable, change is uncomfortable, but so is staying stuck. The question is, which discomfort are you willing to choose? Those who let fear decide end up living small. Those who step through fear find freedom, because beyond fear lies the life they were meant to live. One of the biggest reasons people still fail is that they think short term. They want results now. They want change overnight. They want the body without the workouts, the wealth of the relationship without the effort. And when it doesn't come quickly enough, they don't understand that success is not built in a week or a month. It's built over years of consistency, sacrifice, and repetition. The instant gratification mindset is poison, and it's the reason why so many give up just before the breakthrough would have happened. People today are conditioned for speed, fast food, fast internet, fast entertainment, and they carry that same mindset into their goals, but life doesn't reward the impatient. Life rewards those who stay in the game when others walk away. It's easy to start something with excitement. It's easy to be motivated at the beginning when the vision feels fresh. But when the results take longer than expected, feels boring, when the progress seems invisible, that's when most people fold. They mistake slow growth for no growth. They don't realize that the invisible work compounds. The seeds planted today take time to sprout. And those who walk away too soon never get to taste the harvest. Think about someone who starts a new habit. They go to the gym for 2 weeks. They don't see the transformation they wanted and they quit. But the person who keeps showing up even when they don't feel like it, even when they don't see instant results, that's the one who transforms. Success is built in those boring, unseen, uncelebrated moments. It's not the single act that changes your life. It's the repetition. The winners are those who fall in love with the process, not just the outcome. Another trap of short-term thinking is quitting at the first setback. People say they want success, but the moment adversity comes, they run. Realize that setbacks are part of the process. Every failure carries a lesson and every challenge builds resilience. But if you're only committed until it gets uncomfortable, you'll never last. That's why most people never make it past the first storm. They weren't playing the long game. Short-term thinking also blinds people to the compounding effect of small choices. A little discipline daily creates massive results over time. But because they don't see immediate progress, they underestimate the power of consistency. They overestimate what they can do in a day, and they underestimate what they can do in a year. This impatience keeps them trapped in cycles of starting and stopping, never giving their efforts the time to pay off. Those who succeed understand the principle of delayed gratification. They sacrifice comfort today for freedom tomorrow. They do the work without needing immediate applause. They understand that mastery takes time. That greatness is not built in moments, but in seasons. People who fail give up because they can't see the finish line, but those who succeed know the finish line only comes to those willing to run the whole race. Short-term thinkers quit, long-term thinkers win. People often underestimate the power of their environment. They think success is just about personal effort, discipline, or intelligence. But the truth is, your environment shapes your standards, your mindset, and ultimately your destiny. You cannot plant a seed in toxic soil and expect it to grow. The same goes for human beings. If you surround yourself with people who doubt you, criticize you, you will shrink to fit their level. That's why so many people still fail. It's not always because they lack talent or ambition. It's because they are trapped in the wrong environment. Look at your circle. Are the people around you encouraging your growth, or are they silently killing it? Are they challenging you to raise your standards, or are they comfortable keeping you small? Human beings are influenced more than they realize by their surroundings. If everyone in your circle accepts mediocrity, eventually you will too. If everyone around you makes excuses, you'll start to adopt them as your own. The mind adapts to what it sees, hears, and experiences every day. And if your environment feeds you limitation, you'll unconsciously believe it. Success requires you to consciously design your environment. That means choosing who you spend your time with, what you feed your mind with, and what kind of energy you allow into your life. Winners put themselves in environments that stretch them, inspire them, and sometimes even intimidate them. If you're the smartest, strongest, or most successful person in your circle, you're in the wrong circle. Growth comes from being around people who push you, who remind you that you're capable of more. Accountable when you fall short. Many fail because they cling to familiarity. They stay connected to environments that feel comfortable, but are secretly poisonous. Maybe it's friends who don't believe in their dreams, family who constantly discourages them, or colleagues who gossip and complain instead of grow. Comfort can be dangerous because it feels safe, but safe environments often suffocate progress. If you want to succeed, you must be willing to outgrow people, places, and patterns that no longer serve you. That doesn't mean you stop loving them. It means you stop letting them control your future. Think about anyone who's achieved greatness. They all had to step into environments that demanded more of them. Athletes train with those stronger than them. Entrepreneurs spend time with visionaries who think bigger than they do. Artists surround themselves with other creators who fuel their inspiration. Environments either accelerate your growth or hold you back. The choice is yours. The truth is, you cannot outwork a destructive environment forever. Willpower alone isn't enough when you're constantly battling negative influence. But when your environment aligns with your vision, everything becomes easier. Your standards rise naturally because you're immersed in growth. Success becomes the norm because you see it daily. Failure becomes less likely not because challenges disappear, but because you've created an ecosystem that refuses to let you settle. One of the most destructive habits that leads people to fail is indecision. They live in the illusion of someday. Someday I'll start the business. Someday I'll write the book. Someday I'll have the courage to chase my dream. But someday is not a day on the calendar. It never comes. And because they keep waiting for the perfect time, the years pass, opportunities vanish, and regret grows heavier. The truth is, indecision is a silent killer. It doesn't break you all at once. It robs you piece by piece until one day you wake up and realize you've settled for far less than you were capable of. People fail not because they don't know what to do, but because they can't decide to do it. They wait for clarity, but clarity doesn't come from thinking, it comes from action. The moment you decide, you create momentum. But when you hesitate, you lose energy, and hesitation becomes paralysis. Life rewards those who decide quickly and act boldly. Every breakthrough begins with a decision. Every transformation is born in a single moment when you say, enough, this is it, I'm done waiting. The illusion of someday is comfortable because it feels safe. As long as you say you'll start later, you don't have to risk failing today. You don't have to risk embarrassment, rejection, or discomfort. But what most people don't realize is that in trying to protect themselves from failure, they guarantee it. You can't win a game you never play. You can change a life you never take action on. By postponing decisions, people unconsciously choose failure disguised as safety. Another trap of indecision is the search for certainty. People tell themselves they'll move forward when they're sure it will work. But certainty never comes before action. It comes after. You don't get confidence first, you build it through commitment. Eliminate fear before starting, you shrink fear by starting. Those who fail never learn this, so they keep waiting for the perfect conditions, not realizing that waiting itself is the thief of dreams. Think of the opportunities you've already had in life. How many times did you hesitate? How many times did you talk yourself out of it? That hesitation cost you something. It may have cost you time, growth, income, relationships, or a chance at a different life. Most people spend years convincing themselves that they'll make the leap later, not realizing that the window of opportunity doesn't stay open forever. Every day of hesitation is a day closer to regret. Who succeed are not always the smartest or the most prepared. They are the ones who decide. They decide and then they figure it out. They commit first and the details follow. That's how progress is made. Indecision keeps people locked in what if. Decision moves people into what's next. Life doesn't change until you stop living in someday and start acting today. One of the most painful truths about life is that people underestimate the cost of regret. They think discipline is hard. They think sacrifice is painful. They don't realize the weight of regret is far heavier. Discipline weighs ounces. Regret weighs tons. People fail because they choose what feels easy now instead of what creates freedom later. They trade short-term comfort for long-term pain. And the tragedy is that most don't realize it until it's too late. Every day you have two choices, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Discipline's waking up early when you don't feel like it, putting in the work when no one's watching accountable to the standards you've set. Regret is waking up years later wishing you had. Regret is looking back at wasted time, missed opportunities, and knowing you could have done more but didn't. One pain is temporary and empowering, the other is permanent and crushing. The reason so many people still fail is because they keep avoiding the small discomforts of discipline. They skip the workout, they procrastinate on the project, they choose distraction over focus. Each decision feels small, but those decisions compound. They build a life where opportunities slip away, potential remains unused, and the gap between who you are and who you could have been grows larger. The worst part is, discipline is hard in the moment, but regret is forever. Look at anyone who has achieved greatness.
They didn't escape discipline. They embraced it. They chose the short-term pain that most people avoid. They showed up when they didn't feel like it. They sacrificed comfort for growth. And because of that, they get to live with pride instead of regret. But most people take the opposite route. They indulge now. They delay effort. And they convince themselves they'll start tomorrow. Tomorrow becomes next week, next month, next year. Then one day the window of opportunity closes and they're left with nothing but what fits. Regret doesn't just hurt, it eats at the soul. It whispers, you had the chance, but you didn't take it. You could have been more.
But you settled. You could have lived differently, but you played it safe. Discipline never leaves you with that voice. Discipline gives you proof that you showed up, that you gave your best, that you fought for your future. Even if you fall short, you fall with pride, not with shame. The truth is, life will demand a price from you either way.
You can pay in discipline now or regret later. The question is not whether you'll face pain, but which pain you'll choose. The winners choose discipline because they know it's lighter. They know that on the other side of it is freedom, strength, and fulfillment. The people who fail choose regret because they're seduced by ease.
But ease comes with the heaviest price tag of all. So why do they still fail? Not because they lack potential, not because they're not capable, but because they choose desire over commitment, fear over courage, instant gratification over persistence, toxic environments over growth, indecision over action, and regret over discipline. Failure is not the result of fate, it's the result of choices. And the same truth applies to success. Your life is being shaped right now in this very moment by the decisions you're making. You can keep waiting, keep hesitating, keep playing small, or you can raise your standards, confront your fears, think long-term, change your environment.
Decide once and for all and embrace the discipline that leads to freedom. The future doesn't belong to those who wish. It belongs to those who act. You have everything you need to create a life of meaning, passion, and fulfillment, but it won't happen by accident. It will happen because you decide that failure is no longer an option, is no longer acceptable, and that your time is now. Don't wait for someday. Don't let fear dictate your future. Don't trade your life for comfort. Step forward, take ownership, and commit fully. Because the truth is this, the only way to fail is to keep living like you're not capable of more. The only way to win is to finally decide and live like your life depends on it.